And here we are in the series called Focus, F.O.C.U.S. God has been giving us this pathway of focus, and the F stands for the actual word focus. Because what you keep your eyes on will eventually determine what you run after. Your attention becomes your direction, and your direction becomes your destination. And here we are, we have the F and we have the O. We talked about O. O is for obedience. So O is for obedience because focus without obedience is just inspiration. Obedience is love in motion. Obedience is faith with shoes on. And now we arrive at C. C is for comparison. C is for comparison in our focus series. And I need you, family, to hear this because comparison can quietly undo your focus and corrupt your obedience. I need you to hear it. I'm going to say it again real quick. Comparison can quietly undo your focus and corrupt your obedience. Tanya, because comparison does not always show up in a loud voice. Comparison does not always announce itself. It doesn't always say that it's going to come and be sitting next to you. No, sometimes it slips into your life like a helpful assistant. This is what comparison does. Comparison whispers to you, you should be further along than you are. Comparison whispers to you, look at what they have and what you don't. Comparison whispers, why is it that their life seems to be easier than mine? With comparison whispers to you, you should be more like them. Comparison whispers to you, at least you're not like them. That's what comparison does. It'll slip into your life real nice and quiet and have an entryway into your mind and start talking to you like they're sitting right next to you. And just like that, this is what we do. We start measuring our life with a ruler that God never gave to you. Here's the trap that us Christians get into. We compare ourselves on two levels. We compare ourselves to others in two directions. Here's our directions. We compare ourselves up so we can feel inferior. Why don't I preach like them? Why isn't my marriage like theirs? Why isn't my business like hers? Why don't I have those kind of blessings? And then we use comparison down so we can feel superior. At least I ain't doing what they doing. Can I come down your road? At least I'm not struggling like they are. At least I'm not as messy as they are. But either way, whether you up or you down, it's still comparison. And here's the thing about comparison. Comparison is still a thief. Comparison is a thief in church clothes. Come here. Comparison knows the hymns. Comparison knows the scriptures. Comparison knows where and how to sit in the sanctuary. And comparison still will steal your peace. And family, this Lent, God is saying to us, before you celebrate the resurrections of God, of Jesus, let me crucify what's killing you. Come here. Here's our text, 2 Corinthians chapter 10, verse 12, New Living Translation. Basically, Paul is saying, in essence, we're not going to put ourselves in the same category as those who promote themselves. Because when they measure themselves by themselves and compare themselves with themselves, they're not wise. That phrase, not wise, is used in other translations, but is not meant to just be brushed over. It's not just a mild saying. No, Paul is saying comparison is, get this, spiritual foolishness. Here's why. Because it feels like evaluation, but it's actually deception. Come here. It feels like progress when it's actually poison. It feels like motivation, but it's actually insecurity with a pseudo. This is our big idea for today. Comparison is never neutral. It always steals something. There's a few moves I want you to notice in the text as we go through 2 Corinthians chapter 10, verse 12. Here's the first move. I want you to understand comparison reveals identity drift. Comparison reveals identity drift. When you forget who you are, you start shopping for other things. When you forget who you are, you start shopping for other measurements to measure yourself. Family, comparison is often the symptom of the problem, not the disease. The disease itself is identity drift. Here's what I want you to understand. When you are anchored in who God says you are, you can clap for others without complaining inside. You can celebrate somebody and still be secure about yourself. You can shake somebody's hand and tell them good job without walking away and sucking your teeth. You can look somebody in the face and give them a high five and say good job. But the problem is, with identity drift, it steals that away from you. Because, get this, I want you to hear this real good. Identity drifts, you start looking sideways for confirmation. Don't miss it. This is what we start doing. We start looking this way and that way for confirmation. Here's what comparison steals first. It steals your gratitude. Can I teach for a little bit? Comparison steals your gratitude because you stop thanking God for what he gave you, while you complain about why you don't have what he gave them. Can I talk for a little bit? You can be so blessed and blind at the same time. You can be standing in your answered prayer and still be jealous. I'm sorry, I got to give it to you the way he gave it to me. Comparison, here's the second thing. Comparison steals your contentment. Not because God hasn't been good to you, but because you've decided God's goodness must match somebody else's highlight reel. I had to go through it too. Here's the third thing. Comparison steals your calling. Because you stop asking, Lord, what have you called me to do? And you start asking, why didn't you call me like them? This is what Paul says. Paul says it's not wise to start comparing yourselves. Don't compare yourselves with someone else's public with your private. Don't compare someone else's presentation with your process. And don't compare someone else's outcome with your obedience. I wish I had time to work on those. But let me say it this way. You're measuring your chapter 3 against somebody else's chapter 20. And here's the crazy part about that. You don't even know what they had to survive to get to chapter 20. Tell your neighbor, don't drift. Tell your other neighbor, stay anchored. Here's the second move. Second move of the text is this. Comparison becomes a worship problem. We talked about obedience. When we don't be obedient to God, it lets us know that there's a worship problem. Here it does. In comparison to, lets us know that we have a worship problem because whatever becomes your standard will become your master. Watch this. Comparison doesn't stay in the mind. It eventually gets in the heart. And when it gets in the heart, it becomes worship. Can I say it again? Comparison doesn't just stay in your mind. Comparison will get in your heart. And when it becomes and gets in your heart, it becomes worship. What should be in your heart? Nothing but the goodness of God. Because, get this, worship is not just about singing. Worship is not just about praying. Worship is not just about being on your knees. Worship is whatever you center your life around. And if you center your life around God, that's your worship. Worship is what you give emotional weight to. And worship is what can change your mood in an instant. Here's the thing. Comparison makes people the reference point. Hear me. There's always a reference point that you go off of. Even when you drive it, you know where you at when you get to that reference point. If you don't know where you at, you know if you get to that pole, if you get to that abandoned gas station, if you get to that place, you know exactly where you can go from there. And here's the thing, we will make people our reference point. If they made it there, then that's the direction I'm headed. So now, if somebody praises you, you're up. But if they ignore you, you're down. If they succeed, you feel threatened. But if they fail, you feel better. Comparison can be an emotion, but it can also turn into idolatry. Here's the reason why, because you've handed your joy to someone else that's not supposed to handle it. Teach, Barry, I'm trying. Paul says this is not wise because it creates a false altar. You create an altar of approval, an altar of applause, an altar of keeping up, an altar of an image that you want to uphold. And Lent comes to tear down false altars. This is what Lent is saying to us. Return to the Lord Don't return to your brand. Don't return to your stuff. Don't return to your reputation. Don't return to the competition. Return to the Lord. Because comparison is a thief. It steals your worship, and it takes the gaze that belongs to God and aims it at people. Because sometimes we will stare at people long enough that you start needing them like you're supposed to need God. But this is what I love about God. God has already told you, I will not be one of many options. What does the Bible tell us? The Bible says that I will be your only God. This is what God is telling us. I will not be your Sunday God, while comparison is your weekday Lord. You should only have one God. Let's move number 2. Move number 3. Okay? Lent will help us expose insecurities we call motivation. It exposes insecurity we call motivation. Some of what we call drive or motivation is just fear dressed up in discipline. I had to feel it too, I promise you. Because a lot of times we will dress stuff up that we are insecure about and use that and be on point with that. And it's actually a fear of ours that we're trying to hide. Let's be honest and understand something. Some of us are not motivated. We're actually just insecure. We don't want to admit it because we baptize it in church language. I'm just trying to be like you when I grow up. I'm just striving to be the best me I could be. I'm just pushing myself a little bit harder. I'm just trying to do better. But the fuel behind it is comparison because it will never satisfy you. Watch this. No shade to anybody. Comparison is a treadmill. You got a lot of movement and no arrival. You got a lot of get your heart rate up. And you ain't going nowhere. This is how we look on the treadmill. Watch this. But this is how you look in your life when you compare yourself. Doing a whole lot of moving and ain't going nowhere. Here's my prayer for us during Lent. That God will remove all of the distractions and comparisons. And this is why we go into fasting, not as punishment, but so that we can receive revelation from the Lord. Because when we quiet the stuff that we're trying to go after, our appetite for stuff, you can finally see and hear the insecurities that you have. This is what our insecurities tell us. I'm behind, I'm not enough, I'm unseen, I'm unwanted, I'm unworthy. And if you don't confront that voice that's in your head, you will keep trying to prove what God has already declared. This is what Paul says. It's not wise to compare because it creates a life of exhaustion. Remember, you on that treadmill just moving your feet. And if we are honest and if we tell the truth, some of us are tired because we work some of us are not tired because we work too hard. We're tired because we're trying to win a competition God never put you in. We're tired because we're always trying to outdo people instead of trying to walk with God. Here's my suggestion. Stop performing and start surrendering. That's the first 3 moves. Here's the last move, and I'm done. Move number 4. Move of the text shows us that the cross proves your worth and comparison loses its grip. Pay attention. The cross proves to you what you're worth so that comparison will lose its grip. Here's the gospel, and here's the turn, and here's the excitement of the text. Comparison keeps asking, am I enough? Do I measure up? Do I matter? But the cross answers with blood. This is what the cross says. You mattered before you even started or achieved anything. You were loved before you ever improved on anything in your life. Get this, you were worth dying for while you were still in your mess. And if the Son of God stretched his arms wide for any of you, then comparison has no right to define who you are. Hear me, family. Hear me. At Calvary, God didn't compare you to anyone. Only thing he did was redeemed you. That's it. At Calvary, Jesus didn't say, let me see how you measure up. At Calvary, Jesus didn't say, let me see where you rank at. No, he said, let me show you what you're worth. The cross, get this, because a lot of us will look a gift horse in the mouth. The cross is God's capability to show you your value. But a lot of us want to argue with a bill that's already been paid. So when comparison tries to grab you again, you tell comparison, I've been already purchased. I've already been redeemed. I've already been justified. I've already been loved. And when you finally and you really believe that, comparison will start to lose its grip. So when you go home, here's what I want you to do. Y'all got homework. Here's what I want you to do. When you go home, I want you to have an identity reset. 1, recognize what you're doing. Lord, I am comparing myself to somebody who ain't no better than me. Here's the second thing, reveal it. Ask yourself what you're afraid of. What am I believing about myself right now? Here's the third thing, now I need you to replace it. If you ever come into that moment to where you feel like you're comparing yourself, read 2 Corinthians chapter 10, verse 12 again and again and again and say, Lord, people are not my standard, you are. Once you realize that you want to replace it, then you need to return to the Lord. 1 action of obedience a day will be small but real. And then here's the great part. You rejoice. You just tell God thank you for what he's already done. I'm going to my seat. But I want to tell someone, comparison shrinks when your gratitude grows. Family, we're walking towards Easter. And you cannot celebrate the resurrection while living under the bondage of comparison. It'll be hard. It'll be hard to do because comparison not only does those things, but it will steal your joy. It will steal your peace. It will steal your gratitude. It will steal your worship. It will steal your obedience, and it will steal your focus. But today, God is calling you back. God is calling you back to focus. God is calling you back to obedience. God is calling you back to the only comparison that matters. Because when you compare yourself to God, you see you don't measure up anyway. But you also see the beauty of this thing we call grace. Because God already knew you couldn't measure up to what he is, and he loved you anyway. Get this, God didn't lower his standard, he lifted your burden. God didn't excuse your sin, he paid for your sin. And he didn't ignore your brokenness, but he entered into your brokenness. Church, I just came by to tell somebody on this morning that comparison is not your judge. People are not your standard. Opinions are not your ruler. And Paul said when we compare ourselves among ourselves, when we measure ourselves by one another, we are not wise. Because wisdom, gets this, wisdom don't look sideways, wisdom looks up. And when you finally lift your eyes to God, you discover something real freeing. You discover that you don't measure up, but mercy stepped in. You realize that you don't qualify, but grace qualified you. You don't deserve what you have, but love covered you. You couldn't reach it, but God came down and gave it to you. And I need somebody to hear this. God never asked you to compete. God never asked you to compare yourself. God only asked you to trust him and walk with him. Because when you stand at the foot of the cross, every measuring stick breaks. Every scorecard gets torn up. And every ranking system loses its power. Because at the cross, the proud get humbled, the broken get healed, the lost get found, and the weary get their rest. And if you know the cross proves your worth, I need you to help me and celebrate God on this morning. And if you know grace settled the score, I need to hear you say, thank you, Jesus. And if you know comparison has lost its grip, somebody reach up to God and say, I'm free. And I don't know who needs to hear this, but you don't have to be them. You don't have to outdo them. You don't have to look like them. God called you. God kept you. God redeemed you. And when God finished the work on Calvary, he didn't say, now let me compare this to something else. No, God said, it's finished. It's finished. It's finished. The guilt is finished. The shame is finished. The striving is finished. The competing is finished. And when Jesus finished it, comparison lost it. And grace won it back. So walk in focus. Walk in obedience. Walk in freedom. Because you are not measured by people. You're measured by mercy. And may the Lord bless you and keep you. And may his face shine upon you. May he guard your heart from comparison to anybody else. May he fix your eyes strictly on Jesus. And may you walk this Lenten journey knowing that the cross has already declared your worth. If you have been trapped in a comparison cycle, always measuring, always checking, always comparing, today is your day to be free. Today is your day to have mercy loosen the grip on your life. Comparison to other people and to other things will have such a tight stronghold on you that you feel like you don't know what else to do. This is your moment. This is your time, your chance. I'm not sure what you need. The doors of the church are open. I'm not sure what you need. I'm not sure if you need to be released from this thing called comparison. I'm not sure if you just need prayer to help you along the way. I'm not sure if you need deliverance from this trap called comparison. I'm not sure what it is, but whatever it is, the cross proves your worth. Comparison has to let you go. Today's your day. Today's your chance. Today's your opportunity. Whether you're here in the building with us or you're with us online, it doesn't matter. Here is your moment to allow comparison to get out of your life. I didn't say this in a sermon, and I held on to it for this purpose. And I'm going to say this the best way I can. While sometimes we compare ourselves to other people, the worst person to compare yourself to is the person you used to be. Stop comparing yourself, who you are now, to your past. What happened to you, what you went through, what you dealt with back then is the reason why you're here now. Watch this. Because you're here now, you can look back and see that God kept you from the hurt. He kept you from the people. He kept you from the issues. He kept you from the homelessness. He kept you from the divorce. He kept you from all of the stuff that you could have went through and all of the stuff you had to deal with. Stop bringing that stuff into where you are now and comparing your now to then. That's the first thing. I'm talking to you. Stop comparing yourself to your old self. Here's the second thing. Stop comparing what you didn't have to your kids. Because now you have set in motion a plan for yourself. Don't get me wrong, our plan is always to give our kids what we didn't have. But when you start making a motion, making a move to offset stuff that they have no idea about because it happened to you, you're creating some issues that you're going to have to deal with now. Here's the third thing. Your children. Here's what I don't want you to compare yourself to. Don't compare yourself to your past. Don't put that comparison on your kids. Don't compare when you can't do this anyway. Don't compare what you think God should have did to what you're asking him to do. God, if you did what I asked you to do back then, I wouldn't be where I am. Don't look at me in that tone of voice like I'm the only one that didn't said it. Only one that didn't, you may have not said it out your mouth, but you thought, God, if you would have just paid that bill back then. God, if you would have removed them back then. God, if you would have let me have that back then, I would think I would be good right now. That's the problem. You think. God says, I know the plans I have for you. Whatever you're comparing yourself to, whatever you're trying to compare your life to, whoever you're trying to compare your life to, this is the moment where you can loosen that grip. Whatever it is, this is your opportunity. Whether you don't know how to do it, this is your opportunity for God to show you. If this is the moment to where you're tired of having to go through that process and you're ready to let it go because you already know who Jesus is, come on, this is your moment too. If you are in a moment to where you just need somewhere where you can be around some folk that can tell you, hey, I've been there too, and I this is how I got out of it. Not saying you have to do it, but someone to walk with you, pray with you, and talk with you. This is your moment as well. We would love to be your family. I would love to be your pastor. And we can walk through it together.